Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is my daily ramble. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all recovered from what's been a very traumatic week as a West Ham fan. I'm feeling all right today. I'm feeling okay. The good thing about football at the moment is there's plenty of it. So as bad as things are going, things can turn around. It's hard to think like that at the moment, but look, it can happen. It can happen. And we're going to talk about the Arsenal game. We're going to talk about Divin Mubama as well, very very briefly, and then I'm going to go on to talk about the potential managers that are linked with the club and who I think would be best suited, and how long do I think David Moyes can last. Okay, as always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, drop a like on the video, and as you're all aware, we're sponsored by the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. If you use our discount code Claret15, jump on their website, which you'll find a link in the description. You'll get yourself a nice juicy discount. Great place. The guy who runs it is a West Ham fan as well, which is why I've invited him, and why he's invited me and why I've accepted him as well, because it's all West Ham around here. But yeah, go and support him. He's a great guy. Okay, Arsenal. I mean, look, we've had a terrible run. I don't think that David Moyes could really ask for a better game at this moment in time, because I don't necessarily think that even if we was to sort of scrape and win against Brentford, I don't think that would do anything. The same with Olympiacos the Thursday after. In terms of fan opinion, anyway, I don't think that would do anything. But beating Arsenal at home. Now, look, is it going to be a B team? I don't know. Will it be mixed? I'm not too sure. I'm talking about who we're facing, because I'm sure we're going to go full strength. But it doesn't really matter. It's a massive game. This is big for West Ham fans. We don't want to get embarrassed at home to Arsenal for obvious reasons. And yeah, I don't know what to expect. I really, really don't, because a lot of what it comes down to, what we have seen, definitely what we have seen over the second part of the first half of the season is, the last 5 games or whatever, we've seen a drop-off in effort and form and everything else. We've definitely seen that. Now, whether that's associated to David Moyes and whether he's lost the dressing room, we don't know. I think we're going to find out. Because if those players want to make amends, if David Moyes wants to get back on the horse and he wants to get some of the fans back on side, which a win at home to Arsenal, getting us through to the next round of that cup, will absolutely do, he's got to go for this game, and those players have got to go for it. They've got to. It's like a get out of jail card. This one, it really is. It ain't going to be easy. They're an amazing team, but we're at home. Arsenal have got bigger fish to fry. They're chasing Tottenham in the league. They're in the Champions League. Of course, they want to win this. They're going to want to clean up. Arteta's going to want to do a pep. He's going to want to try and sort of dominate and win as much silverware as he can. But this won't be their primary concern. It won't kill them if they lose it. But for us, this is kind of this will give you an indication as to how on board with Moyes that the players are, because Moyes needs a win. He needs this win. Now, if those players were on board with David Moyes, they will kill themselves to get a win for him tomorrow. They will. Because if they don't, and then we go and lose to Brentford, I'm sorry, I think that could possibly be it. I do. A lot of people are saying, I know Sean's come out with a 6-game rule, whatever. But I do honestly think if we lose against Brentford, I think that could be it. Because keep in mind, we're 9th in the league at the moment. When the 6-game threat was rolled out last year, we was fighting relegation. We had a 35-game relegation battle. Well, we're not this year. We're 9th. We're 3 points off Brighton, and they're already making murmurs. There isn't as much patience surrounding Moyes now from the club. We've got Tim, who we know will be in David Sullivan's ear. Of course he will. He's gonna be desperate to get Moyes out so that he can get his man in and fulfill this project which he wants to start. Moyes just gets in the way. Steiten's going to want to get a guy in that can be the coach that he can work with so that he can go out and get the players in. Of course, Steiten's going to want that. So, and we know that Steiten's feet are under the table, and it's just quite odd that when you're 9th in the league, I know it's been crap and it's been shit, but normally you hear about this type of thing when we're down the bottom. We're not at the moment. I don't think he's getting as much patience this year, Moyes. He hasn't. This game against Arsenal is massive. I do think that they'll go for a bit of a mixed team. I don't think he won't field the kids like the under-14s or anything like that. I think he will, I think Declan Rice will play. I think they'll have enough stars on the pitch, Saka will probably play as well, which means that we've probably got to play Emerson and not play Cresswell because Cresswell won't do well against Saka. So Emerson's going to have to play. So I just think Moyes has got to go full strength. And when I say full strength, he's going to have to go back to what was working at the start of the season when we beat Brighton, when he kind of done that 4-1-4-1, where Alvarez was sitting at the base. Because he's got to play Alvarez and Paqueta. They're not available on the weekend. He's got to play them too. You know, get them in the team. Play the back four. Play Alvarez in front. And then just play as we did against Brighton, or play more progressively. But he can't do what he's been doing. Playing Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse at the base does not work. You know, David Moyes thinks more. Sometimes less is more. David Moyes doesn't get that. You know, you've got to push the team back. If we're going to have any chance against Arsenal, we've got to go from a low to a mid block. We've got to push them and press them in the middle. And we're going to need to play a forward that's going to. They play out from the back. We can't let them do it. We've got to press them high as well. We know that Bowen can press high. We know that Kudus could probably press high as well. But we do need a focal point as well because we know the way that we play. I'm going to say it. We've all heard the stories about Divin Mubama. The fact that it was a story run by Rashane Thomas in The Athletic that Divin Mubama, he's got a year left on his contract. He's changed agents. All the Premier League clubs we know are sniffing around him. And he said, no, I'm not signing a new contract. He wants to be shown that he's going to be used. I don't blame him. Why would you? Look at Moyes' track record. His track record is 0 youth players brought through. He doesn't do it. Mubama needs to be shown that he's got a pathway through into this team. Danny Ings can't do it. He's played enough games now, Danny Ings, as that striker. He's played against some shit opposition as well. He's played against your Lincolns. He's played against TSC and teams like that. He's not scoring. Enough's enough. Antonio, leave him out for the weekend because I want to see Antonio brought back in against Brentford. I want Divin Mubama to start. Play him up front. Put Kudus left. Put Bowen right. Play Paqueta behind him. Surround him give him a platform to succeed, and he will do that. He'll fight the defenders. He'll hold the ball up. You know, give him some supply. Help him succeed, which will help you succeed as well, Moyes. I've said it before. Bringing a youth player through is a massive tick in the box where West Ham fans will always be concerned. We love to see managers bringing youth players through. You know, so for you to do that, bring him through, that again, that's a big tick in the box. If you don't do it, then again, this is all going to count against him, not just with the fans, but with the board as well. We know that the club want David Moyes to give Mubama minutes, if nothing else, just so that we can get the guy to sign a contract. We don't want to lose him. And he's not playing ball. So I do think he's under pressure now. I think we saw that with the fact that he brought Kudus in the last game. He made changes. I think he'll continue to make changes as well. I think he will. But what do I expect from Arsenal? Well, I don't know. Like I said earlier in the video, we're going to be able to gauge how on board the players are with David Moyes. Because we've definitely got it in us to beat Arsenal at home, or at least put in a fantastic performance and try. That's what I want to see. I'm probably going to be more focused on the performance than anything else. I'm going to be looking at the players and seeing whether they're willing to die for the cause, to die for David Moyes' cause. You know, they might be smelling blood themselves if they're not happy with Moyes and they can sense that the end is near. Look, players do it. They do it everywhere. It might be the case that they want someone else in. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If we play well, I think we can win. You know, if we play well, and that's a stupid thing to say. Well, it's not. What I mean is if the players perform, if they're on it, if we get the tactics right, then of course we can beat Arsenal. We can. Like I said, they're a great team, but this isn't their main priority. But if we go out like lambs to the slaughter, if Moyes gets the tactics wrong, if the players that he puts in that formation are not on it and they're not buying into it, it's going to be a very, very embarrassing and frustrating evening. And people have been talking about the boos ringing around that place for Declan Rice. That's going to be the last of our worries because they are all going to be targeted at that team and at Moyes. They will be. If we get embarrassed at home to Arsenal after losing Declan Rice to him and everything else and all the shit we've been having to put up with in the last few games, and the fact that they will put out a weakened team as well, that's going to be a little bit too much for fans to take. So for me, I'll make a prediction, and I'm going to be positive in my prediction because I want, honestly, as much as I want David Moyes to go, I love West Ham first, and I fucking hate Arsenal. And I'm desperate for us to beat Arsenal. And I did make a stupid bet as well, bear in mind, with Nicky on West Ham Fan TV, that if we do beat Arsenal, I've got to wear a Moyes in or a Moyes eye t-shirt for a week. So even then, I still want us to win. Of course I do. Honestly, I would love it. I would love for a week. If we beat Arsenal, I'd wear it. It don't bother me. It's absolutely fine. Would bother me. I'd have to wear something underneath it, and I'd probably have to shower 2 or 3 times after taking it off, and I'd burn it at the end of it as well. But yeah, more than happy to do that. If we can just get this job done and get past Arsenal, it would be fantastic. You know, I'm not confident. You can't be confident for this. You know, based on the trend of what we've been doing just recently, Arsenal are going to rip us to pieces. We're going to get absolutely embarrassed. But look, this is football, you know. This could prove to be just a bad patch that we've had. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Personally, I don't think so. This trend is a continuation from last year. I saw it coming at the start of the season. The performances haven't been right the whole way through. We had a couple of great individual performances from the goalkeeper and some forward players who were super clinical that got us through the first few games, but we've not been great. You know, it's been approaching 2 years now. We've been shit in the league. We've been shit in the league for a long time. You know, it is frustrating. So, how long do I think David Moyes can last? Well, look, like I said, if he loses against Arsenal and loses badly, it's a manner of the defeat as well. You know, if we put in an amazing performance and we get beat, I'll swallow it. I will. I'll kind of write that one off. That'll be fine. A lot of it's about the performance. But then going into the game at the weekend, I appreciate we haven't got Paqueta and we haven't got Alvarez. But look, this is the first time that we've been without key players all season. Everyone around us have been losing players to injury and suspension. This has been the first time that we've struggled with some player selections. So it's not an excuse. This is what you have to deal with. This is why you have a squad. We've spent a ridiculous amount of money. We should have a deep enough squad to cater for losing a couple of players. If we haven't, it's on Moyes, where everyone's saying now, what do? Alvarez is gone. He's the only central defensive midfielder. Why the fuck did we loan Flynn Downs out? What sort of decision was that? You know, if you've got nobody else that can play that role. There's so much about this season that is not making sense. None more so now than the Antonio contract extension, the Souček contract extension as well. I mean, what was that all about? Why? I understand you don't want to lose Souček on a free, so I can get that. He was scoring. Well, he weren't scoring goals when we gave him the contract, but I can get that. He's 28. You know, he's got some value. You don't want to lose him for nothing. But Antonio, there's not going to be any resale value on Antonio at the end of this season, especially the way that he's playing now. And West Ham have got to get past offering contracts to players based on what they've done before. You offer contracts to players based on what they can do moving forwards. And Antonio's input is naturally going to get less and less and less. He's getting older. You know, it's the way of the world. He's 34 now. So it was a ridiculous idea. If anything, we should have just let him run his contract down and let him go. Just do that. That would have made more sense. He's been a good servant to us. You know, we're going to do the same with Cresswell as well. But yeah, I don't really understand some of the decision making at West Ham sometimes. I really don't. It's very strange, very obscure. But I don't think he'll have much past a bad defeat to Arsenal and a defeat away at Brentford. If he loses those two, that's 5 straight defeats, bad defeats as well. Let's have it straight. 5 bad defeats, and if that happens, I think that's going to be him done. I think that'll be him done because the fact that like I said at the start of the video, the fact that we're hearing these noises now when we're high up in the league and at no risk whatsoever of getting relegated tells me that the patience with David Moyes isn't there like it was last year. You know, we know that David Sullivan was looking at managers last year. We know that. But David Sullivan's useless at recruiting managers. This is why we ended up with David Moyes in the first place. So what he's done is he has addressed that. You know, he's gone out and he's got Tim. Tim has no problem selling projects and everything to play. I mean, look at the players he's got in. He managed to get Jared Bowen to sign a 7-year contract. The guy is a good salesman. So we're going to have no issue whatsoever going out and getting a new manager. I'm hearing the same argument on Twitter and everything else. People saying, well, who would you get? Well, I'm going to answer in the same way. I've got faith in Tim. I'm not really even looking at that now. I kind of, this is Tim's project. That's how he will be looking at it. He will go out and get the best man possible to deliver his vision. That's fine by me. Pluck someone from Real Sociedad B like he did with Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen. And I know people are saying, well, he ain't an unknown. He was an unknown manager. There's loads of ex-players out there. But this was an unknown manager, an unknown coach. And he went and got him and gambled and it paid off. And I think he'll do the same again. If we can't get Alonso, who I think that we can get, I'm actually starting to think that we could get Alonso. I do believe it. I know he signed a contract extension at the start of the year, but he would do that. Leverkusen gave him his big chance, and he will want to repay Leverkusen if he gets pulled out of the job, which is right. You know, and I do think that with Tim starting, I know we've never done it before. We've never paid a release clause for a manager. We get available managers. This is different. This is different. Tim Stein will do things differently. If we think that Xabi Alonso can do a job for us and it's going to cost us 15, 20 million to buy him out of his contract, you do it. You do it, you know. What's the point in spending almost £500 million on players, which is how much has been spent by David Moyes in this period, if you're not going to have a top manager to manage them? I've said it before. I've said it so many times. You know, it's like getting what it's starting to resemble now. The more money we spend, and we've still got David Moyes managing this group of players, is like having a chef from a McDonald's running the kitchen at a Michelin-star restaurant. You know, the ingredients are all there. They are, but you're never ever going to be satisfied with the meal because you've got Dave out the back deep frying a filet mignon and battering it. You know, it just doesn't fit. It's time for him to go. He's done a good job. He's lays the foundations. He does. I'm fed up saying it, but we do need to move on to that stage 2 manager, somebody that can embed a philosophy and take us on and move us on. You know, we're not messing around now financially. I don't really know what the hold-up is with Sullivan because it isn't a lack of ambition. We can't say it's a lack of ambition now. With the amount of money we're spending on personnel, there isn't a lack of ambition. But there is a lack of decision-making and a lack of foresight. And I'm hoping that with Tim coming in, that will all change. Would I love Xabi Alonso? Of course I would love Xabi Alonso. I'd also like to see someone like Michael Carrick, you know, and Graham Potter, who a lot of people don't like as well. I'd take him as well, providing Tim wants him. Providing Tim speaks to these guys, has a look at them and says, yeah, they will fit. They'll fit my projects. That's good enough for me, you know. But yeah, so I don't believe that we've personally got too much longer anyway, irrespective of what happens. Well, we haven't. I'm certain he won't be here at the end of the year because he won't do well enough this season, Moyes, to warrant getting a new contract. He won't. He might have some. He might have some games where, you know, he'll save his job. You know, we'll win 2 or 3 games, we'll scrape through. But ultimately, we're going to keep on having this roller coaster with him, and it's not going to be enough to get him a new contract. It really, really isn't. It would be a fucking miracle if we won another trophy this year. I don't see that happening. I really don't. You know, I've had to wait 43 years for a trophy. David Moyes has had to wait 1 million games of professional top-flight management before he won his first trophy. What the fucking hell makes people think that we've won a trophy, we're automatically going to win one this year now? You know, that would be a miracle and an anomaly that the club would have to deal with. But the likelihood is that we're going to have a very, very mediocre league finish. 10th or lower, in my opinion. I don't think we're ever going to be at risk of relegation. And we won't win a trophy. Okay? But I do believe that if David Moyes capitulates and does what he's never done before at West Ham and loses the important game, which I think is going to be against Brentford. I think that's the important one. I think it is a 5-game rule. I don't believe anything else. I do think that will be enough. I think that will be enough because look, let's face it. Tim Stein is selling a project and a dream to all of these players, to Jared Bowen, to some of the kids that have signed, you know, Rig, Mohamed Kudus, Alvarez, who we know has been flashing his knickers. Well, I'm not being funny. If David Sullivan doesn't back Tim Stein to be dynamic and make changes, it kind of renders Tim's project a bit of a lie. It does. Players' careers are short. They're not going to be willing to just sacrifice a year of their career and wait for David Moyes to finish. They're not going to. If David Moyes is doing well, you let him carry on. If he's not, we've seen it before with Tim at Leverkusen. The guy's got form for axing managers and replacing them early in seasons. He's done it before. He did it when he brought Alonso in. It was after about 8 or 10 games or something. Similar sort of thing. He got rid of him, brought a new manager in. He doesn't sit on his hands. And I do think that if David Sullivan kind of doesn't back Tim, and I don't think anyone's going to want to sit in this purgatory. The players won't, because by the time the end of a long, hard, slog, miserable season, some players will have become disenchanted at West Ham and there'll be irreparable damage done there and we'll have to move players on like we did last season and the season before. And we just don't need to do it. The good feel from West Ham has gone at the moment, but we can get it back like that. Like that. We can. By sacking David Moyes. And even the David Moyes fans who are fearing the worst, oh no, we're going to end up with Rafa Benitez, this, that, the other. Even them, when they see Tim sitting on that jet with Xavi Alonso next to him, even they will realise it was a right thing to do. And that place will be bouncing. It will be. It'll be amazing. It's going to happen. It ain't going to take long. Keep the faith. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Arsenal game. And also let me know who your choice of manager would be in the comments. I'm interested to know. All right? I'll speak to you soon. Carry you out.